the rhythm, catching every beat. Together we embrace the futures at our feet. The futures at our feet.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Edufuturists podcast. Not any old episode. This is a Happy New Year 2026 episode. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Steve.
New Year, Ben. Hopefully you had a good Christmas, mate.
Yeah, I did, and I'm sure you did as well. Let's say it goes by super fast. We don't know what day it was, and still not entirely 100% sure what day it is. But we've had a good time. We've had break. We've had downtime, and looking forward to seeing where 2026 brings. And today's episode, we're going to be looking back on some podcasts that since our last review, and then also thinking about what 2025 has brought to us. And some plans and dreams about 2026, because some cool stuff on the horizon, right, mate?
We're just keeping hold of the reins right now, man.
Something like that.
Don't let go. Do not let go of those reins. That is.
Hey, are you making a Yellowstone reference there about not letting go of reins?
Always.
I am not.
Always.
I am not. What was he? What's he called that always falls off? Jimmy.
He always falls off at the beginning, Ben. You haven't got.
Yeah,
to
he
the
gets
end.
better.
Get ready.
I'm almost finished. He gets good at it. Yeah, he gets good at it. So yeah, so we were just looking at it. We're having a chat, weren't we? We've had 8 episodes since our last review. How the heck has that happened? I don't know. But we're right at the beginning of January. We've had 8 episodes since.
No, it's absolutely bonkers. We always joke that we're going, it's only been a couple of weeks since our last review. We can't throw another one in. What? We've got 8 episodes since? What? What's going on here? So yeah, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? How time flies, but also how much content we've got coming out. We've got so much in the future, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but so much content. And I know it's only weekly, but actually when we're in the thick of it, it's just, there's so many positive conversations going on, isn't there?
Yeah, well good. And interestingly, we think about and reflect back, some of these people that we've had on here are like banger after banger after banger, which is always cool. So let's do a little bit of review of them, because we always think it's right to, you can go back and listen to them, and but we'll do a little bit of review there. So the first one since our last review was episode 317. That was with Russell Cayley, Russell, who wrote the book The Firefly Effect. That was very, very interesting, and got us thinking, right?
I think so. As we were writing the book, like, and now in editing mode and all those kind of things with the publishers. But I think it's the amount of work that goes into something like that, but also the thoughts behind it and the why, I suppose, always has to ring true in regards to those kind of things. So yeah, I think you've met him. It was the first time I'd met him and had conversation with him, but really, really positive around what does that look like, what does that feel like, and some of the really, really great stories of impact, I believe.
Yeah, and I think there's this idea around thriving as much as anything else, and it's how do we thrive and learn, and thriving obviously has been a theme that's been throughout the podcast over the many years. About, it's not about just preparing young people for work, it's about preparing learners for thriving in a world, especially in a changing world. And he talks obviously about AI, gives that the link to the idea about the fireflies and how that has effect on other fireflies, and how you can shine your own. But the bit that really landed for me was when he talked about his work with Think Global School, and that like nomadic school, and just going experiential, but also it's not about this curriculum, that coverage. It's about where the learning experiences that we can have wherever we are, and maximize that. So if you're in a jungle in Peru somewhere versus if you're in a city Tokyo, you can learn anywhere, can't you?
It's bonkers, and the leadership style that has to go with an organisation like that, and he's learning from that process of how, even what he said, like from the outside in, when you look at that concept, you just go, "Oh, this doesn't work. It's absolutely crazy." But when you're in it, it's all you live and breathe, really. And how they talked about technology and lots of different things within it, but I'd never heard of the organisation, or very little. And I lift the lid and go under the bonnet for a period through Russell's perspective was really, really interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so, and so much so that they're going to feature in a book. A little bit of a snippet there. Probably shouldn't tell you, but Think Global School in that space. Anyway, yeah, and then an interesting one that we recorded a long while ago, but didn't come out until the middle of November, was episode 318. which was with Mark and Zoe Enser. A bit of a different one than what we would normally have, right?
I think so. I think it's good to have different perspectives, understanding, and different points of view. I think I agreed with a lot of well, not a lot, with some of the things that they said, but I also disagreed with some of the things that they said. We do get that from time to time, but also it challenges your thinking,
For sure.
because if you're always having the same conversations in your echo chamber of people that believe in stuff, you don't get the outside perspective of some of the challenges that we may face when we're trying to change to a system.
Yeah.
If we're writing the book, when we've written a book and if it lands and all the different things that we're saying need to change, there are some people that of the belief that it doesn't need to change. And that's absolutely fine. They just need to admit that they're wrong. That's not a problem. It's just as we go through that. But yeah, I think it was really interesting. I think our views, the quick fire ones were open. So go and listen to, if you're listening to, and if you're a fan of the Edufuturists podcast, go listen to that in terms of the free quick fire question that you'll be used to and their responses, and maybe give us some thoughts on those, because it was definitely different to some of the ones that we've had before. Go and listen.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love how diplomatic you've been there as well. That's lovely. But it's good. I think that echo you mentioned the idea that it's really easy to just keep listening to the people that we've always listened to and the voices that we've always heard. It's important that we have that. What was that divergent thinking that we've heard from Matthew Said and others? This idea of like, you need to hear from different spaces and different voices. Doesn't necessarily mean you've got to agree with it, but what can we pick from it and what can we learn from it, and how can we build an organization or build a system that can be a broad church and it can experience and explore other people's perspectives. A collision of different perspectives is a phrase I used recently, and I think that was very much that. Next up, episode 319 was Endless Learning with Matt Dalio. Matt Dalio runs Endless Studios based out of the UAE. And if you've not listened to that one, it's quite an interesting one about gamification, about coding, and about what that might look like and how you can create that level of, I don't know, that level of challenge and engagement and real world application into learning, which is something that we're obviously massively passionate about.
I think so. I think people, it's one of those things, like it did link my thought back to the engineering one that we reviewed last review, where that Joe with the engineering UK, where ultimately people see that as a standalone subject that is very different and cannot be embedded. And I think it's that coding bit of how do we bring that into more people's mindset rather than it being just an elective, because let's be honest, it's a real skill and a real development and something that lots can benefit, and what stimulates and is driven from learning a skill like coding is really, it's not just a case of, well, you can code and that's it. Actually, there's so many skills that apply to different contexts, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, big time. I think this idea of that relevance, and interestingly, in a world of coding where AI seems to be doing all the vibe coding, all the other bits that go with it, it's tying into that idea of the importance of like teaching skills that align with that modern world and modern workforce, and making sure that ties into that. It massively challenged our traditional education system, which we like to do. That's not broken, it's just outdated. I keep saying that and we keep making that quote. It's just outdated, and it gave us a really viable alternative, which is cool. But 320 was one that has had quite a big impact on us as an organization, because Alex Zarifi, who came on to the podcast, that went out beginning of December, but also Alex was also joined us at the first of our Edufuturist roadshows, sharing a provocation. And Alex is a super, super, super passionate, driven, formed human being, talking about futures, plural, readiness, and what we need to do around AI in that space, isn't it? And it provoked, just the podcast provoked, but also the roadshow too.
Yeah, his ability to bring it to data and facts and content rather than just his thoughts, I think is what really rings true in that episode. And also it was on the roadshow as well. Just not that bit of, well, I think this and I think that, great, but how it is matched and the data and the stats that he can just pull off and recite and actually apply then his thinking and some of the stories that he tells around it, I think really come out in that episode.
Yeah, agreed. And you'll see on our socials, and you'll see on some of the other bits in there, it's really resonated. And I think If you haven't checked out the program that Alex is leading on, Futures Readiness, and the impact that can have in schools and colleges, I would recommend that you do. Check out episode 320 for that, and all the links are in the show notes for that as well. We're flying through these, mate. I know we've got lots of things to talk about and about future, because obviously we're in 2026 and we're thinking about what comes next. But the next episode was 321, which was with Joe Lowther from Kit UK. A bit of an interesting, different one. Title for this one was Joy in the Present, Hope for the Future. And this idea of how we can link coaching and how we can think about mentoring in that space and why that really matters. And also thinking about how that kind of working in relationship with schools and external organizations working in relationship with schools would have an impact. But I know that it really made me think about joy and hope, which not are always the words that you describe in education often.
Yeah, and I think it's that skill set and that role that is often diminished or is difficult to recruit in primary. So there's a lack of teachers. There's definitely a lack of physical education teachers, and it talks about the lack of male teachers in that space as well, and how mentoring and coaching for a lot of young people, a lot of young boys, where did they get their role models from? And that was a real big. Obviously, I was a PE teacher, so think about the drive for physical activity. We know as adults the positive impact that physical activity can have on health, not just physical, but mental. And ultimately, by devaluing and not including enough of it, and not being the focus, actually has a massive impact on our young people. Because how do they ever then keep, I don't know, we didn't probably discuss it, but like the crisis in terms of the NHS can be fixed by prevention rather than treatment. And ultimately that physical activity and getting young people in early and that starting principle is definitely one that we should carry on.
It's just this short-sightedness, isn't it, that can often come across. And when you've got to have a election cycles and other things that go with it, we need to see things happen quickly. So we're not looking for what is a prevention necessarily. We are thinking, okay, how do we save lives as quick as we can? How do we save? Well, not doing physical activity and the coaching, the mentoring that goes with that, he's probably going to take a few years down the line. And some of these people that are making decisions haven't got a few years down the line. They've got to make quick impact. That really is a big thing from an education perspective, is how many of us are planting trees under whose shade we're not going to sit? How many things are we going to be doing that we might not see the benefit of? It does align into many of the things that we are excited about for this year. We've said it many times about standing on the shoulders of giants, that many of the reasons why we do what we do is because of wonderful people who have helped us and have given us a leg up and have gone before us. You know we were going to say the David Prices and the Bob Harrisons, the Valerie Hannons, the Al Kingsleys, the Rose Luckins, one after another have gone before to try and make a way, and we're just trying to do the same thing. Okay. The 6th episode we are reviewing is episode 322, which was very, very specific, but it was a necessary one, especially in the world around AI. And that's episode 322, which was titled AI Bias, with the AI Bias girl, Victoria Headland. Very, very technical and a very incredibly intelligent human being, physicist and whatnot, as well as an artist. But we started thinking about bias and how important that is to think about when it comes to education and AI.
Yeah, we talked about it potentially being a magnifying lens of what the real world perspective actually is, and how actually, AI is a lot of bad things, but so is the world, and it's only magnifying what the human has created. And yeah, Victoria comes across really, really well. She's very, very knowledgeable, and it's research based on her physics and creative elements now linked into the AI elements and everything else that she's been doing. So yeah, really, really great to just unpick that and hear about her story, which was fascinating, I think, isn't it?
It is fascinating coming from teaching, but also like a physics degree, wanted to think about why there weren't enough women in physics, and just, yeah, super cool. It's a good human story. I mean, I think that's what the thread of most of what we do is, yes, we want to hear about what people do. Yes, we want to hear about their businesses and organizations and their impact. But we just like people, don't we? So it's like
to chat, don't we?
Yeah, like chatting. We like a chat, and we've done 300 odd episodes of this, so we'd like to think that we're getting all right at it. We might use the same ums and ahs and the other bits, but we'll get there. That led us to, we've got a couple of episodes that have come out. I'm not going to do these in order, Steve, so it's going to throw us. Is the episode that we had with our good friends from Bet, which came out last week. We are back again in this year, 2026, January 2026, as media partners at Bet, going to the Bet Awards and interviewing some of the people there. And yeah, it was great to have EJ helping us think through what's coming up at Bet, the agenda, why they've gone the way they've gone.
Yeah, why they've gone down that route, what's different, and how do they keep it fresh? All of those conversations is always a good one, Joe. When the show and the trade show and an event has been going on for so long, how do they keep it current and how do they keep it relevant? Is always a challenge. So let's hope what we discussed is actually happens in real life. And you'll see in a couple of weeks, everybody, won't you? You'll go listen to the episode and then you'll go, they lied. No. Oh, yes, very truthful, AJ.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you haven't yet got your tickets and you can get a free educator ticket, there is a link in that episode's show notes. And yeah, go on have a look. But it does bring us to the final episode to review before we talk about 2025 for us and 2026 going forward. I've still got my hat on my desk. Edufuturist Christmas hat. Steve's at somewhere. He's packed it away because have you packed up your Christmas stuff yet? No, Steve's is there as well. We had some wonderful humans who were part of the Edufuturist Wolfpack community on for an online Christmas party, Christmas special, where we had a little bit of a laugh. It was just a laugh, weren't it? Just a conversation with good people who really care about future education. Yeah, we had fun and games, didn't we?
It was good. Yeah, lots of conversations. The quick fire ones were interesting, their perspective. That's like we said to him. Well, you're clearly not listening because you probably should have known what questions were coming up. Joe, we ask these every episode. If you're part of the Wolfpack, you should have been listening. So, but yeah, I think it felt like snippet into what our events are actually like and some of the people that are there. So like, Joe, calling out to that in terms of this year in June, Joe, if they seem like a fun crew, we are a fun crew. We're welcoming to all, like we said with Mark and Zoe. We welcome diverse thought and opinion. And that episode was just a hodgepodge of a small microcosm of some of our community and some of the people that attend the Edufuturist events. And they're just really good people to be around and just a good laugh, aren't they? Which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much to those for finding the time to join us and wearing your hat and all the other bits that go with it. So yeah, 8 very, very different but also interesting episodes. And yeah, but 2025 has been an interesting one for us, hasn't it? Like there's big changes or things that have happened for us. And I don't know. Where do we start with that?
25 has been a year. Or was a year, I think, of celebrations. We had our 300th episode within it. We had our biggest Edufuturists Uprising. Like, you know, this 2026 is going to be even bigger. It's going to be hopefully 3 times as big. But if you think back to June in 2025, oh my days, what a wonderful venue, collective of people it was. But even pre that, you know, the number of people that were nominated, the voting went off. It was kind of, I would say that was a catalyst of, okay, I think we can do this. I think we've always been at it and we are in our 10th year, but it takes a lot of effort to keep going, Ben, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and when a number of votes, like 30-odd thousand comes in, you just go, okay, I think we're gathering enough energy. We've been happy and we're still happy in the little gaps and the ones and twos and changing it bit by bit. But when you start to then think, is the tide turning? And are we? That was probably one of the moments.
This episode of Edufuturist is powered by Integrated Systems Europe, the must-attend event for educators, technologists and institutional leaders seeking to shape the future of learning.
From the 3rd to the 6th of February 2026, ISE returns to Barcelona, uniting the brightest minds and the boldest ideas in the edtech industry. Join us and push back beyond the possibilities that are transforming the classroom of tomorrow.
Don't just keep up with the industry, get ahead of it. Check out the video that's coming next to find out more and join us for ISE 2026. We'll be there in Barcelona and use our special code EDUFuturists for free registration at ISE eduturisticseurope.org.
The world of education is changing, and education technology is helping to change it. Different teaching styles, more flexible delivery, and a wider range of resources. All of these mean EdTech is playing a greater role than ever. And that applies to learning taking place in the classroom, the lecture hall, the corporate training center, or delivered online. Integrated Systems Europe is the world-renowned annual tech show for the systems integration and audio-visual industry. At ISE 2026, you will find all the leading EdTech brands in our Education Technology Zone in Halls 1 and 2, in our Connected Classroom Showcase, and across the show floor. Solutions on display include wireless presentation systems, interactive displays, short-throw projectors, collaboration tables, VR and AR systems, lecture capture, and integrated lecterns. In fact, ISE 2026 has everything you need to create learning experiences that are engaging, involving, and inclusive. See what you can learn. Come to ISE 2026 and explore the future of EdTech.
Yeah, I think the bit that stands out for me is that some people go, like, how did you get the podcast like this? How do you get events like this? Why has this happened? I was like, it's almost, they think it's an overnight success, and that I'm not saying that it's success even, I don't, but it's like, oh, this has all happened overnight. Well, it's 10 years in the making. It's the fact that we've been consistently every week writing a piece of content and creating a podcast and putting that out on socials and turning up at events for free and grafting to put on events and awards and stuff. And that, we don't say that for any sympathy or anything. It's just it's the fact that it's nice now. It feels a little bit like to have a bit of momentum. And like you said, it's not about the big numbers, although they are lovely, as like nice. Oh, it was nice to be a Bet media partner. It was nice to have the biggest Edufuturists Uprising we ever had and the 30,000 votes. They were all brilliant. But actually, that being recognised and the smalls and ones and the twos and people going, do you know what? You're really making a difference. That podcast really just landed with us. That essay that you wrote, that blog that you wrote, really explained where we were. And what has been really interesting for me in 2025 is the connections that people have been making. So we've been getting a message off somebody saying, I really like that. Do you know somebody here? And we go, oh yeah, actually, they're part of our community. Connect them. And then they've ended up getting work out of it. They've supported each other. Those people are now connected. And then we've gone, okay, we're looking for somebody like this. And somebody says, oh yeah, we know somebody. Bye. And that's what's happened, isn't it? It's about new partners. It's about new people getting involved with us. Obviously, we have a content partner over this last quarter with the team at ISE. And we're going to be back out there. And we're going to be actually in Barcelona doing ISE in a few weeks' time. So like it's cool. And the bit that I want to shout about really from 2025 is two things. I don't want to talk about both of them, but two things became a reality in 2025. First one was the roadshow. And this is something that we've talked about doing for ages. It's lovely having a nice podcast. And it's lovely doing our own one event a year and turning up at other people's events. But one of the things that we've always wanted to do is try and take this on the road and get the people around the table and take this community feel beyond just a one or two events a year to really get somewhere. And we launched in Birmingham last month or a couple of months ago, which we've mentioned already. Alex Arifi came and did that and some other people, and it was a great event. Shout out to Naomi, by the way, who helped us with logistics on that. And it's been really good. And also Parent Pay for supporting us in that space. And we've got another one in a couple of weeks at Bet, the night before Bet at Canva. And then we've got Glasgow and Barcelona and Cardiff and Newcastle and all the other, it's just exciting that we get to go to do this. And it feels like the culmination of a lot of work has got to this.
January sold out. January sold out. Joe, you can still go on and go onto the waiting list. There's always people drop out. So please, if you see it and you think, we'll be on the waiting list and we'll let you know as people. Joe will be doing a lot of that, but sold out pretty quickly, didn't it? I don't even know if we got to Christmas before it had gone. So Well,
Mental.
that's great. And also some new people. I was looking and thinking about it. We're gutted that you can't make it, but you know what? You snooze, you lose, everybody. You'll have to come and see us in Glasgow or Cardiff and meet us where we're at. They can't all live in London, our community. They don't live in London. So even if you just think, you know what, there's only going to be 20 people or 50 people in Cardiff, they're all important to us. It's really, really important to be on the roads. Yeah, we're thankful to Parent Pay for working with us, and we know that's going to be really impactful. Lots of data been discussed, feedback on that report, and then obviously we'll put something together. And so if you want to be part of that research and that movement and that collective bit of effort, then come along, join one.
Yeah. And I suppose we're moving into 2026 now and what we're looking forward to, but we got them words written, my friend. And we got a book.
No.
Well, I say we've got it written. It's now, like you said, in the editing publish affairs. But we said that we've been talking for years about writing an Edufuturist book, and we got the opportunity to write Pick a Mix Education with some contributions for some incredible organisations from around the world. But look, yeah,
It's horrific, I'll be honest. I'm excited for it to come out, but fucking hell. Absolutely horrific. Don't ever ask me to write a book again. I know you've already asked me, Ben. We'll talk about later. But like, oh my days, you guided, you helped. And 2025 years been a learning where I've probably been carried. But we've held the reins. We often say that people always go, how do you do it? And I just go, well, Ben does it. That's absolutely fine. But I think it's just that collective bit of a lot of the things that we do, when it's hard, I always then think, and this sounds really, really good, and I think, no, what are we actually doing it for? Because ultimately, when you're struggling and when things are really, really difficult and you don't feel like there's enough time and you've got lots of plates spinning, which 2025 has been a lot of plates spinning, and 2026 will only be more so, I believe, that we have to keep hold of those reins and just keep going with it, because the intention is, like you've said, it isn't about us. How many trees can we plant that will shade young people in the future? Massive. That as hard as it is, how do we at times just think, just got to get through it? And at some point, I'm sure we'll give up 2025 and everything else, but it's difficult. And that's why people will start podcasts and start these different things and drop it. This is why people don't focus on it, because some people are only in it for the money. Great, absolutely. Some people don't have the time, and I respect that. But in the grand scheme of things, this is bigger than ourselves. We all know it. The people who listen, we talk about the future of education because it is massive and it needs change for our young people, for us that should have changed. Our children are probably out of it by the time it changes, and everybody else that comes, it needs changing. And if we just have to keep doing one at a time, then, and one person at a time in terms of the conversations, let's just continue to do so.
100%. And so this book that's for parents, we think that could have the biggest impact in terms of globally, and that's what we're hoping for. So we kind of, as we go into the next season, there's a few awesome things to look forward to. Like I said, we've got 5 more roadshow events at least, and who knows, off the back of that, there's other people talking to us about, can you come to us? Let's see. I don't know if you are listening and you're in a city that isn't on the list, well, let's see if we can find a way. If you're in a country that's not on the list, let's see what can we do. We want to bring the message, but also work together, and ultimately that idea about community and what that looks like. We don't want to say too much because we don't want to nail our colours to the mast on it. But in terms of like where the community goes and how we build up and support the individuals that are passionate about Edufuturists and about building a wolf pack, we want to support that, champion that, and build the movement that isn't about Ben and Steve, that is about Edufuturists as a movement and something that keeps moving. The whole principle is it's got to keep moving. What does that look like? And so, yeah, we've got the roadshow events. We've got a bigger than ever uprising that we think. We've got a book launch. It's pretty epic, some of these things, mate, in there that's on the horizon. And we're in our 10th year, and that is very interesting. You mentioned that is that it's a bit of a dream, and some of it we might need we will need the community to come together and help us make this happen. But we are trying to get 10 of our biggest episodes ever that we can get in. But we've already got a few big names that like I've just like dream. Who would you like to interview on a podcast from education space? Already secured and about to be recorded, but there are some people that we'd love to see. And the top 10 at 10 or whatever it is, 10 for 10, whatever we called it, about 10 years on, who are the 10 that we want to really shout about into 2026 and beyond? Cool, man.
Exciting. So watch your space. Get ready for the review because so much will have happened, as we always find, between this one and the next one. But hopefully you're having a great start to 2026, everybody. It's not too late to say Happy New Year again. So, yeah, and we'll see everybody at Canva HQ or Bear. See you all soon.
See you soon, everybody.
See you soon.
Shaping the next generation. Dancing to the rhythm, catching every beat. Together we embrace the futures at our feet. The futures at